It continues to get worse. The Crunchyroll customer data breach that happened last month, it's just getting worse. So if you didn't know, 100 gigabytes of customer data was actually stolen from Crunchyroll going back to last month. And it was part of a much larger breach, actually, a petabyte of data that was stolen from Telus International, a company that basically operates as an outsourcing partnership for a lot of companies like Crunchyroll, banks, finance companies, a massive amount of video game corporations as well, which we spoke about in the last video. You should check that out because it's insane the amount of companies that they work through either directly or indirectly through their subsidiaries. Actually amazing how much reach they've had in the gaming space. So who knows where the rest of that data is linked to and what it's about. But we know that 100 gigabytes of that data was actually Crunchyroll customer data. And it's now been sold. It's now been sold to one individual buyer. And 60% of that information now has been passed on to haveibeenpwned.com. Which if you look here, I have actually been involved in 10 data breaches with this particular email. This is not my main email, but 10 data breaches going all the way back to 2013, Twitter, Patreon, a bunch of websites here, if it will let me scroll down properly, a bunch of websites, XSplit, so many different companies that my information has been stolen from. Now, if you're on the internet and you use an email account, there's a good chance that your information has been breached. And this even is kind of confounded here, or compounded, should I say. If we go over to the website Have I Been Pwned's Twitter, they say, a new breach, Crunchyroll suffered a data breach last month, which reportedly exposed data from its Zendesk support system. 1.2 million unique email addresses attributed to the incident were provided to Have I Been Pwned today. 82% were already on the website. So 82% of that 1.2 million had already been involved in data breaches prior to that. This is why I always say to people, regularly change your passwords for these sort of sites, right? And never use the same password against multiple websites because they get into one and they get into everything, right? Never use the same password and regularly change your passwords. Now, I do suggest people go over to this site, put your email in, see if you've been part of a data breach, and if you haven't, still change it. Because if you do have a Crunchyroll account, you might be part of the 40% that wasn't passed on to Have I Been Pwned, that may have been passed on and sold on to other people that could potentially be using that for nefarious situations. So just because you're not on there doesn't mean your information isn't out there as well, right? So there was 2 million customer addresses altogether, right? And 1.2 have ended up on the site as well. If we look over here, 1.2 of the 2 million customer records were purchased by a single buyer. We've obtained the 1.2 million emails. So 1.2 million emails are now on here, but the rest aren't. So as I say, it may, well, it's out there still, right? It's out there still. So email addresses, names, login details, IP addresses, and ticket contents from early 2025, which involves, you know, if you've had a support ticket created for if you're having issues. Because as I say, Telus, their third-party outsourcer, that's basically mostly what they deal with. They deal with outsourcing for companies regarding support, tickets. You know, you play a video game or you've got a site and you've had an issue, a payment issue or something's not working, and you've reached out to support and you've created a ticket to say, I need help with this is not working. And then you've had a conversation, a back and forth with an individual. That, and for a lot of these things, including games as well, would be somebody through Telus Digital, Telus International. Now, some of these names include Hoyoverse, some of these names include Sony, Microsoft, some of the biggest game companies out there, a myriad of other game companies as well that are just as big. And as I say, not all of them are directly through Telus Digital. Some of them are through the subsidiaries as well, and some of them a little bit more directly involved with as well. They do have another company that actually deals with AI translation situation. So it's not just about support tickets, it's actually localization for a lot of video games as well that they deal with through one of their subsidiaries. But taking it back to Crunchyroll, this is once again another terrible look for Crunchyroll. They just keep posting L's, right? From a company that people are not very much a big fan of, to a company now that can't even protect your data. But as I say, this isn't something unique to Crunchyroll, right? This is something that happens all the time. As I say, if you've got an email address, it's likely been involved in a data breach, right? So put your email into this website. Even if you don't, right? If you've got a Crunchyroll account, change your password. Just do it, right? Just do it. Because, as I say, I've got an email here. This email's never been compromised, but it's probably been attempted to be phished a bunch of times, right? And maybe even been used to create, I don't know, accounts or attempting to create accounts on websites around the world for different reasons, right? But I am a type of person, I regularly change my passwords. So I suggest to people to do that, right? As I say, some of these breaches on this email go back over a decade, which is kind of insane. I didn't know Twitter had been breached. I didn't know XSplit had been breached. So you might be out there, your information might be out there, and you didn't even know that a company you'd been involved with had issues, because a lot of the time, these sort of breaches don't go public. The main reason this went public is because obviously Crunchyroll is a massive frontward-facing company, and there was a petabyte of data overall sold, so it was a massive amount of data. And apparently they were asking for like $65 million from Telus, which they're not going to get. So then this information has then been sold on. So it'd be interesting to see what the rest of that data is. A petabyte, 100 gig is in a minuscule amount in that massive amount of data, right? So it could be to do with so many different companies, or maybe a little bit more specific to Telus themselves, because I believe Telus' own information was stolen, not just the companies they're working with. Now, the amount of the data that was stolen, who knows, right? It doesn't matter, but you should always change your information, just in case, especially if you've got the same password on multiple accounts, right? If your Crunchyroll password's different to anything else, doesn't matter. Just change your Crunchyroll password, right? But if it's the same on multiple sites, get them changed, and don't do that, because once they get into one, they're into everything, okay? Just a little FYI over on that. So we can see here, on March 12th, threat actor Mr. Raccoon gained 24 hours of access to Crunchyroll's Zendesk system via Telus International, stealing about 100 gigabyte of data, including 1.2 million email addresses, names, login details, IP addresses, and ticket contents from early 2025. Crunchyroll confirmed the breach was limited to customer service data from the third-party incident and found no ongoing access. The stolen emails hit Have I Been Pwned on April 4th, which was today, after being sold online, prompting fans to check for breaches, reset passwords, and enable two-factor authentication amid phishing. Really, if an account's important to you, whether it be your email, your YouTube, whatever it might be, a finance site, you should always have two-factor authentication. And even on the less important ones, if they can bring and connect you to other things, just have two-factor authentication on, guys. You know, whether it's like a Google authenticator on your phone or what else, even physical keys, use two-factor authentication. We spoke about this before in the prior video, right? When we said, not connected to this necessarily, but how Fobmaster had his Wuthering Waves account hacked. When you don't have two-factor authentication, it's so much easier for people to get into your stuff. It doesn't mean it's impossible even with, but it's a lot harder, and especially if it's things like an authenticator or it's connected to another email that's safe, then they're not getting into it, right? But guys, you need to be safe out there on these digital streets. This is actually crazy. It just gets worse, man. It just gets worse. And it'll be interesting, as I say, to see if we find anything more out about the other data. I've had a look and I haven't been able to find anything, but I'll continue to do so, because as I say, apparently a petabyte of data was stolen. So there's a massive amount of data, that was breached that wasn't connected to Crunchyroll. And I'm kind of interested to see what that was. Was it specifically around Telus? Because obviously they're a Canadian internet company as well. So it could be around their telecom services in Canada and maybe around the world. Not so much the gaming stuff, but more their own customer data. But still, just as important to the people who are customers of Telus, right? Or it actually stretches out to more of their third-party operations throughout gaming and finance and all of the different companies that they work with. So, yeah, it's not a good thing. It continues to look worse. And yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But guys, I'll leave a link to Have I Been Pwned. This is not sponsored, okay? Put your email address in there, see if it's been breached. And even if you don't want to do that, right, just change your password, especially if you've had a Crunchyroll account. Change your Crunchyroll password, right? And if you have used that password on other things, especially your email, get it changed, do it instantly, don't wait, don't be a victim of this situation. And you know what? Just be on the lookout for phishing emails. You should always do that anyway, but be extra diligent at the moment, because there's a good chance you're going to be getting spammed with phishing emails over the coming weeks, months, or for whoever knows how long it's going to last for, right, guys? But yeah, as I say, even if you aren't a part of Crunchyroll, you've probably been involved in one of these data breaches. Make sure you change your passwords on a regular basis. Don't use the same ones across multiple websites. And stay safe out there, guys. All right, let me know what you think down below. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all in the next one. Ta-ra.